We're back talking with Barbara Telfer of the Dalles-Wasco County Public Library, and I wanted to get a little bit of the history of the library. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I thought I dug in and did some research, and we discovered that there had been a subscription library, which was not uncommon in the late 19th century. You'd pay a fee, and then you were a member of the library, and you could check out 1 or 2 books at a time, and that was how you had access to this. So that went on for a while, and then in probably about 1907, they decided they really needed to have something more, and so they applied to the Andrew Carnegie Foundation. He was U.S. Steel, and made millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars in today's money.
And Carnegie, like part of the Carnegie Hall,
Carnegie, yes, all of that. He provided. First, he started out doing community centers that included a library, and then he just decided to do libraries. So there are hundreds of Carnegie libraries around the United States.
And the one here is one.
And so it's down on the corner of 4th and Washington. It is now the Art Center. It's a really neat old building, and it was the library I went to as a kid. I remember my favorite little corner where I was reading these adventure stories and about the sailing ships and all of that. And so that was the library. It opened in 1910, and it was just the Dalles Public Library. And by 1913, I found an article where it talked about Miss Metz, who was the county librarian, and she was making a tour of the county, and she was going to Boyd and Rice and Shannaco and Duffer and Tye Valley and Bake Oven, and there were like 9 stops that she was going to go check the various little libraries that were part of the system. So it was the county library then, and it grew, and things went along, and it economic times got a little tough, and it was in 1996 we sort of entered the modern era in libraries, and became part of GorgeLink, which was a consortium. And by putting a whole bunch of libraries together, we could all afford to get a computer package that would do all of the stuff we needed to do.
Oh, okay.
And then also, all of our collections were kind of together, so we could borrow. So we had a bigger library. Fort Vancouver Regional Library has something like 27 libraries, and you can borrow from any one of those.
They have the bookmobile too.
Yeah,
right?
They have bookmobiles because of the way the county is. Okay. And I was a school librarian in Lyle, and so I was able to make use of that. At one point, I had 72 books checked out from the Fort Vancouver Regional Libraries. But a lot of those, about half of those, were things for teachers at the school.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so in '96 we became part of that consortium, and that kind of really upped the ante. And we were starting to get. I was working there for a little bit of time, and starting to get internet access, and things kept growing and changing, but unfortunately the funding kept kind of getting eroded.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, 2006, 2007 where they had to cut, the county said we can't fund it anymore. So they pulled out, and they went back to about half-time. They had to let some of the people go. Some people stayed and worked, but a lot of people had to find other work. Yeah. But then they put together a proposal, a levy, and they were able to, the voters approved it, and so we have a funding source that comes, I think it's like something like 60 cents per $1,000 of value.
Oh, okay.
But that's how those things work. I might be wrong on the
exact amount.
The exact amount.
Yeah. Because so many libraries are, unfortunately, as they become a victim of the economy, like a lot of businesses, but yes. Libraries are, as we're learning, publicly funded in many ways.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the use is not really adequate as far as I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the use, because the use is always going to be necessary,
Yeah.
but the dollars are not necessarily seen as, let's allocate these towards the library.
Yeah, people sometimes think that libraries are sort of a luxury, and we don't feel that way, obviously.
Right.
But anyway, but with the extra funding we got, it was great. The first time it passed, the ballot measure passed. Unfortunately, it didn't pass it was only a simple majority. It needed, because of the money aspect of it, it needed to be at least 60% of the voter turnout.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it had to have I think you had to have a certain voter participation as well. And that might have been part of the problem. So, but the second time it passed, and so now we have the Wasco County Library Service District. So we service the entire county. I mean, we have tried to before, but now we have the ability to actually do it. So along with grants, we got a grant for a library van, and that's used to haul books down to Telfer, and Maupin has its own library, but our assistant director goes to some of the care facilities and some of the preschools, and
so shares the
yes,
resources
and
of the library.
Go to
That's great.
the Telfer public. I think she goes to the park.
Oh.
And people come and check out the books in there, and then they can because the Telfer does have a library, but it's kind of got odd hours, and it's not as much. It's not open as much during the summer because it's associated with the school as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
What about the manga project?
Well, that's
and I want
really
to talk about
exciting.
this shortly because we got to go to a break. But tell me as much as you can, as quickly as possible.
Well, manga is the Japanese style comic books. Except nobody calls them comic books anymore. They're graphic novels.
Graphic novels.
And the kids that I was hired to be, because I had worked with teenagers at the Lyle School, they wanted me to continue with that. And so I got some kids together, and they all seemed to really enjoy reading manga, which I had started improving our collection. Buying more titles, and that they told me they wanted to read, and so they are creating their own story.
So they're writing, illustrating, the whole deal. Now, are these available at the library?
Theirs isn't, but we do have a whole entire collection of manga.
Okay,
and and we are also getting more graphic novel titles. There's actually. The 9/11 report has a graphic novel version, and so does the Constitution of the United States. And the American Library Association has recommended that both of those be in every library.
Very interesting.
So,
graphic novel. You kind of think, oh my goodness, what's a graphic novel?
Yeah.
But that's so they're basically comic books.
They're comic books, but you can get a lot more information in a lot less space. I'm enamored. I think they're great. I haven't read enough. Yeah. Because I love reading books too much. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more in the next segment about the importance of picture books, because you do have you feel that is important. And I want to talk to you because I'm not sure exactly what a picture book is. Okay. So, you guys, when we return, we'll discuss that as well as a few other things. So stay with us.